Welcome back to the Ice Talk series. I'm Mike and I run the Spray Days YouTube channel where you can find all sorts of street art and graffiti content. Today, we have an insanely talented guest. This artist has an iconic style which merges graffiti and fine art. He's worked with major galleries including Urban Nation, Think Space, Next Street Gallery, and many more. And whether it's a small, intricate canvas or a 42-meter high mural in a public space, this artist never fails to blow minds. He's also one of my favorite artists doing it right now. So it's my pleasure to introduce you to Mr. Nuno Viegas. How's it going, mate?
Hey, all good? Thanks
Good.
for having me.
Not a problem, mate. It's my pleasure. And you're over in Portugal at the moment?
Yes, I'm home now. Yeah.
Cool. And what's the situation?
It's mandatory.
Yeah. I was going to say, are you all locked down over there?
Yeah, pretty much the same as all the other countries in Europe. We had mandatory confinement with within the emergency state of emergency, and now they're starting to ease stuff and opening smaller businesses, and things will hopefully slowly get back to normality. But yeah, it's still a weird time to live in.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. And you're in Quarteria in Portugal near to Faro?
Yes, that's my my hometown, and that's where I'm living now.
Awesome. And have they shut all the national parks there and all that sort of thing?
Yep, pretty much everything except supermarkets, like the primary, like the most important businesses, let's say, they were open, and now they're like reopening and putting up some, like smaller shops, and restaurants are still not open. If it all goes well, it's like by stages. They will open, like there's a next stage where the restaurants will open, and I think it's pretty much standard for all Europe.
Totally.
I think they're just thankfully a bit ahead of time comparing with Spain, Italy, UK. Yeah.
Totally. I mean, we're moving into this phase too where smaller businesses can open and people can start getting out, getting some exercise and stuff, which is great. What have you been doing to stay busy? Have you been getting out the house? Are you inside? Are you in the studio? Are you just with your family?
At the moment, I'm at home. I'm living with my girlfriend. My dad just came to visit recently, and he got stuck here, so it's three of us living together in the house now. Since I moved from Holland to Portugal, which was November last year.
Yeah,
I've been super busy and already kind of isolation since I moved here. It's just working nonstop in the studio, because like the mural season would start now, and I had to have all the work, or at least most of the work, done before I would start traveling.
Definitely.
Because then I wouldn't have that much time to work in the studio. Still, I think if all of this wouldn't be like postponed, canceled, I would be in trouble. So because I'm still pretty busy in the studio, even with all this huge amount of free time that I have.
That's a good problem to have then.
I cannot complain a single bit about my position at the moment. I just wish I could like go out for dinner, go and visit my family, and spend some better quality time with my friends, which I'm not allowed. And
of course.
I think we should remain responsible and try and do our best to contain the virus, let's say.
Definitely, man. Definitely. And as for planning your year, would you usually sort of structure your trips and where you're going, what you're doing? Would you plan that at the start of the year, or is that something that happens spontaneously throughout the year?
Usually I have the agenda kind of sorted 1 year and a half ahead of time, let's say. So this year was pretty much planned from January till December already, like in August last year. Everything was kind of settled. Well, the last confirmations only come like 2 months before each festival, but I had like all the dates locked, and which for me it's good because I'm not like a guy that lives like okay, yeah, now I got a call, I'm going that way, and no, this, yeah. So I like to have it all planned and know what I'm gonna do, and yeah, so I can manage my stress levels better. Let's say.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And you said you're back in Quateria. You'd moved there from Rotterdam. That's where you were born originally, right?
Well, I was raised here. Almost nobody is born in Corteira unless like the older people which were born at home. But now everyone that is born has to be born in a hospital. So I had to leave Corteira, go to Faro, which is like the district capital here,
Yeah.
and go to the hospital there. It's the nearest hospital. I was born there, stayed there for a couple of days, and then I moved back to Corteira. So officially, I'm born in Faro, but I lived most of my life since my first days of life in Corteira.
Yeah, that's crazy because I've been to Quateria. I went on holiday to like a resort, and it boggled my mind when I found out that you were from there. And even when
You've
I
been
went,
here.
yeah. And
Nice.
I was surprised that there was also like there was a local graffiti scene. There was like Sen and Bean and Wasp and stuff
Yeah.
writing. And I wondered, was there a scene when you were growing up, when you first started sort of taking a notice of graffiti?
How was it?
In,
That's I didn't understood your question.
Sorry, man. Was there a scene when you were growing up, like when you were young in Faro and Quateria, or is that a recent thing?
Um, I'm kind of the first generation of graffiti writers from here.
Yeah,
So I've been learning a lot of the history of hip hop about my own area, about my own city, and I learned a lot recently. Like I could never imagine that like in early '80s there were already like breakdance battles in my hometown. I was like, for me, like hip hop and breakdance and graffiti, it all came to Corteira like in the '90s, early '90s, you know.
okay, yeah,
But it was here actually much earlier, and
okay,
I only got aware of this like this year, you know, like
right,
talking with older friends, like rappers and yeah, people who was involved in the scene since the beginning.
for sure.
And Facebook, they were sharing like photos, like, oh, 1985, this breakdance battle in Corteira, and I was like, no way, man, two crews from Corteira battling in this battle, you know. I was like, no way,
That's wicked.
incredible, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So where did you get your introduction to graffiti if there wasn't sort of like, if you weren't aware of the scene at that time?
Well, the thing is, the scene, like many other places in the world, like it started in social housing areas, and here we have a lot of social housing where people that came from our ex-colonies came to Portugal, and they were given these places to live.
Yeah,
And this is where the first like nests of graffiti of hip hop scene started showing up, and that's why I wasn't raised in one of these social housing neighborhoods, and I didn't have much colleagues at school from this places. Even though I was in a normal school with normal kids, I just never happened to connect or be like close friend with a friend that was coming from there.
yeah,
And the scene remained inside and just for this smaller group of people for a long time, and it only came out and exploded out when it kind of started becoming a global trend, even though there was no internet and all of that. Like the first magazine started coming up and all that. But in any case, my personal connection with it came with my group of friends. So at the time I was a BMX rider, so I was
right,
riding BMX, and I had like my BMX crew, and most of these dudes, they were like they were musicians, some but their scene was like the metal, the hardcore music. And
Yeah.
that's what I was listening to,
Okay.
punk rock and all of that.
Yeah.
But they introduced me to rap. So I remember at the time I would listen to like R&B, which was what was more, and I would listen to it and I was like, no, I don't like that shit. You know, like that's not cool. I don't like hip hop. I would say that, you know, I don't like hip hop because for me hip hop was R&B. But later, one of this BMX crew friends, they handled me a cassette tape with Portuguese rap, and man, I played that cassette times and over and over and over, like rewind, play again, rewind, play again, side A, side B. And yeah, I was really in love with the Portuguese rap, and I started to listen to Portuguese rap and then American rap,
Yeah.
proper American rap.
Yeah.
And also with them came graffitis. So they also introduced me to graffiti.
So
And yeah, and then music came and yeah.
it all combined. So did you have any sort of artistic nature before seeing graffiti, or was it graffiti that got you into art?
I don't know. I remember I was slapped at school by my teacher once in like second or third grade
Wow.
because she was teaching and I wouldn't pay attention to the class because I was drawing.
Right.
And I remember her coming after me and like and slapping me. This was the only time that a teacher touched me.
Wow.
But still, for me, this was just fun. And until I don't know, until I was grown up, like not a teenager anymore. I never thought of being an artist, to be honest.
No.
Like and it wasn't like a big passion. Also because when I started writing like graffiti, for me it was just about writing my name. There was no artistic view to it, you know. For me it was like, okay, this is, and I would spread the crew's name much more than my name. For me it was all about the crew, about the brotherhood, and let's spread our name, put it everywhere. And only later I started having a more artistic approach to it, getting more into Hall of Fame, less into bombing.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was already a bit late. So when I started painting, my first piece was in 1999. And as I was saying before, this was kind of the beginning of the scene here.
Yeah.
There were already like a few writers painting in my area, but it wasn't like that the scene was here for 10 years, you know. If I'm not generation 1, I'm like 1.5, you know.
For sure, man. For
In
sure.
my area, but this is like in Lisbon, for instance, graffiti was rocking already super hard, you know.
Did
It's
you get
like
out? Did you travel much to Lisbon and Porto and the neighboring cities?
not much, to be honest. And I was never into train bombing either. For me, it was all about street bombing, paint like the main roads, like so that everybody will see it. Because here we have one train line that goes all over Algarve.
Yeah.
It's the only train that goes.
Yeah.
And it's super hidden, so you'll only see it in the train stations. To see the train, it's only in the train stations, and there's not much exposure from it, you know.
It's one thing I love about like Portugal. When you land and you're on your way to the Algarve, it's just roadsides, abandoned sheds, trailers. It's a different type of graffiti for me, so I love it.
Yeah, definitely. And it was like this for the importance of street bombing was much bigger than train bombing for a long time in Algarve. I think it still is because there's not much, as I said, much exposure from the line we have here.
Yeah.
But yeah, street bombing was always like the best way to get up, you know.
Yeah, totally,
Yeah.
man. Totally. And did you ever get into any trouble painting graffiti at the roadside or anything?
Thankfully, never had like major trouble. I was arrested a couple of times, but like, I don't know if the law is the same everywhere, but in Portugal, it's like in first place, like the justice system, it's very bad. Like
Right.
you can steal a person, go to jail, and next day you're out waiting ever for something to come up. And the times I got arrested, basically they arrested me because they were like, I knew you painted this wall, but I don't have any proofs.
Okay.
So they didn't call me in the act. They didn't got any spray paint and anything that could relate me to it. But I was like the only person in I don't know 500 meter radius that was there at the
Yeah.
time, you know.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, I
Wrong
didn't do it.
place, wrong time. Wrong place, wrong
Yeah,
time.
that's it. That was my my argument.
And how did you meet your other crew members? You said you were in a crew. Was that through like BMX or traveling to other cities or?
The first crew, yeah, it was like 100% BMX riders. We had like the first name was Six Pack Crew.
Sick.
Oh, the first crew ever was Southside Bikers Crew,
Right.
SSBC,
Nice.
and then we changed to SPC, Six Pack Crew.
Right.
Six pack is not about beers; it's about a six pack of jumps. So
The
six
trail.
hills, yeah. Uh, then we had DSC, which was the Soul Crew, and this was involved already people that was not from the BMX scene anymore, but was only people from Corteira.
Right. Okay.
And then at this moment, like super crew starting emerging, and like I belong to a crew called AK, Authentic Killers, and
Wow.
this was like an Authentic Killers Algarve crew, which was like a crew from everyone, almost everyone from Algarve. It was a huge crew, and at this time I also started my legal crew, which is Polychromia, and it's the only official crew that I'm connected to at the moment. And this crew is all about legal works and Hall of Fames and just paint for fun, spend your time, like do a barbecue, paint a nice wall, spend the whole weekend on it. And yeah, that was like when I started a new route.
Definitely, man. Definitely. And along
And
with BMX.
that's when Matty's comes up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. I was going to ask about that. Was that they the first letters you painted?
No, I had like a lot of tags. In my first year, I had more than 10 tags, I think.
Really?
But my first tag ever was leg, but I only did tags with this.
Okay.
And I got POR because I like the letters. And no, before POR, yeah, I have POR because I like the letters, and this was the lettering I painted a piece the first time, silver and blue.
Nice.
I think this piece is on my website.
Oh, awesome, man. That's really cool.
1999, yeah.
Sick, man. That's sick. And when did you start writing Metis? What brought that around?
Metis was about 2001. And this was like, okay, but this is my official clean face tag. And yeah, I did a few illegal pieces with Metis, but nothing that would get me in trouble. But yeah, for illegal pieces, usually I don't paint Metis.
Totally, man. It keeps the two worlds separate. Keeps the two worlds.
Definitely, yeah.
And did you notice when you were painting Metis that you were evolving the style? Were you getting better the more you painted?
I think no matter what you do, if you do it over and over and over again, you'll notice some evolution.
Yeah.
I did, but to be honest, I was never a super strong writer. I think I was good, I was average, but I was never, as a writer, I was never like a top writer, like a guy that got up and everybody knows their name. And if I was actually like, I don't know, man, like 6-7 years ago, I was in Lisbon, and I was with my girlfriend. This was like 10 years ago, actually. I was with my girlfriend at the time, of hers, a school colleague of hers, at their house, and the boyfriend of this girl, he was there as well, and we were introducing and started talking. And then I was like, yeah, I'm from Cordeiro, blah, blah. And I understood both of us would paint. And he was like, what's your tag? And I was like, yeah, I tag Matties. And for me, this guy was like super, super good writer. His tag is Mr. and his crew is CPK.
Yeah.
And I say my name, yeah, my tag is Matties. And he was like, wow, man, you're Matties, damn, man, you're a legend. And I was like, no fucking way, man. Like, you're a legend and you're talking like this to me, you know? And then he mentioned it like as my importance for the graffiti in the South. And then I was like, okay, in that sense, maybe you were right, because we had a few graffiti magazines in Portugal, and also the Hip Hop Nation magazine.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
we had like a Portuguese version, and most of the times, whenever there was pieces from Algarve, it would be polychromia.
Right.
And we were one of the crews working the most at Hall of Fames.
Yeah.
From Algarve. There was other writers from all over the country that would come here and paint as well. But from here, we were kind of one of the only crews doing legal work like this, and yeah, advertising it.
A minute.
Not Instagram, but yeah, Hip Hop Nation, graffiti magazines, whatever. Just a second, man. Let me close this door.
Don't worry.
Sorry.
Don't worry, mate. Don't worry at all. Don't worry. And from Cordeiro, you moved to Rotterdam. What age was that at, and what brought that up?
I moved to Rotterdam end of years ago.
Yeah.
And I moved. Oh, and I moved back to Portugal end of last year. It was like for 2 days. If I would have stayed 2 days in Rotterdam, I would have been there for exactly 5 years.
Oh wow.
So I arrived there on the 30th of November,
Yeah.
2015, and I came back on the 27th or something.
And did you go to Rotterdam? Was it school? Did you say that you went there for?
At the moment, I finished my studies, and I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life. And yeah, the economical situation in Portugal wasn't very good. I didn't have any job prospects in Portugal, and at the time I was working a lot with photography and video as well. And I was like, okay, let's just move somewhere and see what happens. And yeah, and I moved to Rotterdam, and amazing stuff happened.
Was it a spin of a wheel, or did somebody say Rotterdam was the place to be?
No, it was. I had been in Tilburg, which is a city in Holland, like 10 years before I moved to Holland, because I have a cousin that she's Dutch and she lives there.
Oh, cool.
And I got a very nice impression of Holland. I stayed there for about 10 days that time, and I really liked what I experienced there. And I was like, well, at that time, I was like, okay, a lot of people leave Portugal to go after for a better life, you know?
Yeah.
If one day I have to move, Holland is a serious contender for it, you know? And yeah, 10 years later, I was there. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. And you went on your own. It was a solo move.
Mm. I moved there with my girlfriend at the time. And she had also finished her university studies, her bachelor's. And she wanted to do a master's studies abroad. And I remember I said something like, let's just go to Holland, which was one of the places that she was applying to.
Yeah.
And if then you won't get accepted in Holland and you get accepted in Sweden or Denmark or Norway, whatever, we'll just go there.
Yeah.
And we moved to Rotterdam, and eventually she got accepted there, and we just stayed. Yeah.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome. And when you moved there, did you sort of get straight into the graffiti scene there? Did you meet locals or?
No, in the first, quite hard to break entry, you know. It was quite hard to connect with people. Like I've sent emails. When I went there, I was like, okay, I'm going to Holland. I'll make it either via photography, via video, or ideally as an artist. But to be an artist was never really like, I never dreamed to be in the position I am at the moment.
Okay.
For the simple fact that coming from Portugal, especially from the south where the cultural scene is like totally dead, you don't even think it's gonna be possible, you know. It's like, okay, it's said it's not possible for you to thrive as an artist, it will never happen, so don't even waste your energy dreaming about that. So basically I never dreamed about this.
Yeah. So what point was it that you actually realized that art could be a career and maybe something you could actually pursue?
When I moved to Holland, because when I got there, I started realizing there was a lot of freelance work. There was a lot of like photography, videographers, web designers, I don't know, man, you name it. Like a lot of freelancing is huge in Holland, as I think it is in any country with a bigger economical power.
Yeah,
I think. And yeah, and when I start seeing all this creative vibe like blooming, I'm like, okay, there must be a spot for me over there, you know.
Yeah.
And and later I met Timon de Laat, who became like my godfather in Holland.
Yeah.
And yeah, he just embraced me and was like, hey, I'll take care of you and I'll help you out. And he did. Yeah, basically he just hosted me, took me as his intern, and yeah, and made a lot of good stuff for me. He was a very nice bright light in my path, I would say.
Oh,
still
definitely.
is. Still is.
Definitely. And was that is that when you sort of turned totally away from graffiti, and that's when you started painting muralism and more imagery rather than lettering?
When I moved to Holland, I wasn't painting graffiti that much. At that time, I was slowing down my activity quite a lot. I was painting like, I don't know, man. I had like years that I would paint like 3 pieces in 1 year, 3 letterings in 1 year. And one would be like a quick draw up, you know, just to say like, okay, I painted something, you know.
Still got it.
And when I went to Holland, I didn't have that like boiling sensation about graffiti flowing that much at the time. But yeah, as I became an intern of Timon, he is a painter, and he was like, hey, you're my intern, you're gonna paint. And I was like, okay, I suck at painting, but I can give it a try, you know.
Yeah.
It was really like my like 3rd or 4th painting, I do whatever he asked me to do, and when I finished, I look at it and I was like, damn, man, I never knew I could make this. This is actually good.
Wow.
There's something to dig in here, you know. And
Yeah.
And from that moment to bring in the graffiti, the graffiti speech to my work, or the graffiti imagery to my work, was like this instant, like super quick, super easy to merge it together. And when I painted my first painting that made all this appear, I was in our studio in the Limebaan, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
And I painted the glove. Limebaan is like the shopping area in Rotterdam.
Right.
I painted the glove, and I remember finishing the glove, looking at it, and I was like, damn, man, this is amazing. There's like, I don't know, it was like this moment of realization that I had something good there. that I was like super proud of. I believed in the quality, and I really felt like this energy inside me, like, man, there's something good here, you know. I was like,
A special moment. It connected with you.
and from that moment on, I don't know, man. It's like at that moment, like a big bright light was lit, and I'm still rolling with it lit for
Sure,
me.
man. For sure. And did the travel start from there? Did you just start using Rotterdam as a base to get to the rest of Europe?
Uh, yeah, well, I was there, so I would travel from there.
Yeah.
But since this happened, I've always been invited to do stuff. So a lot of artists, they try to fix a wall, let's say in Germany, and they go there and they paint the wall, and it's a way of getting up in this scene. It's like, okay, I need a big wall. I'll hunt for this wall and I'll make it happen. And thankfully, like since people noticed my work, I've just been invited to do this, and then people see me doing that, and they're like, "Oh, I want you to come here and do that." And yeah, and while I was in Rotterdam, that was the base, and that was where I was moving in and out all the time. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. And there was a huge mural festival not too long ago in Rotterdam. I mean, powwow. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, powwow. I was how can I say, honored, let's say, to be like one of the artists, to be part of the first edition of powwow in Europe, and especially in Rotterdam. Shout out to the guys from Rewriters in Rotterdam that worked very hard to bring powwow to Rotterdam. They made it happen. They proved it that they can do it, and they're maintaining it. They did second edition. Hopefully this year they will do the third.
For
But
sure.
but yeah, amazing what they did to put that festival up, and yeah, and to prove to themselves and to everyone around that they're serious and they can pull up like a massive and very good
Making a huge
event.
impact on I mean, I went to Rotterdam not too long ago, and just riding around on the bike, it's covered. There's amazing murals. The level of work's insane. It's great to see.
It's since I moved there, it's been exploding. It's like I remember when I was there, there were a few murals, but now it's like mural there, bam, bam, bam. And rewriters, they're just arranging everything, you know,
That's
and
awesome.
they're fixing like very good terms for the artists. And yeah, they're, I don't know, man.
How?
There should be more people in the scene like them, you
Oh
know.
man. Oh, totally, totally. And for your wall, you obviously did the huge collaboration as over there.
Yeah.
Did you pick that, or was it offered to you, or was it sort of brought to you?
It was offered to us. Yeah, yeah. That was it was a tricky wall, but but I was like, I don't care, man. It's powwow, it's Rotterdam, and these amazing guys, they're giving me this chance. I'm gonna take it. I don't care, you know.
Oh,
And
definitely.
and in the end, I'm very happy with the outcome. It's super nice wall. Like the location is nice. There's nice stuff happening there. So yeah, I'm definitely happy with it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And out of the artists that were there any that you sort of your favorite artists that got to paint that you may not have met before?
Uh, I knew most of them, and yeah, I really like Nakapan, and I was really happy that he made it there, and that we had a chance to hang out a little bit more, because we only get the chance to meet each other in this occasions, let's say.
Yeah,
So it was super nice to have him there,
definitely.
and it was super nice to have a chance to do a big collab with Timon as well. Yeah,
Oh man.
I think
Oh man.
our friendship deserved that. Yeah.
Definitely, man, definitely. And how important that is that to you collaborating? I mean, you've done one with Fanakapan and Snick behind me and
Yeah.
Heraku. I mean, the list is endless.
Uh, well, there's a lot of people I would love to paint with, but I'm super happy with the collabs I did so far. Yeah, personally, I'm a huge fan of Jay, of Fanakapan's work, and I'm a huge fan of Akut from Erakut. Like since the first day I saw his photos of his work. The first time I saw it was 2006 from, they went to Sevilla in Spain, and some friends of mine, they did a graffiti jam. And when they came back, they started showing me these photos, and they're like, look at this German dude, it's McLean crew. And I was like, no fucking way, man. Like, this is unbelievable, you know? Like, how can people paint like this with spray cans? And since that moment on, like, Akud has been within the McLean. I think it's hard to name like the artist that you like the most, but I always like the skills of Akud. Not just the skills, but the way he puts stuff into practice.
Definitely.
And to have the opportunity to paint a massive wall with them, I was like painting and drooling all the time, you know, like, oh my God, it's happening. I'm painting with this dude, you know, and he's such a nice guy. It's like, man, incredible. It's like sometimes you meet like your heroes and they're total assholes, but when you love them and you meet them and they're even nicer persons, man, oh,
the
thank
best.
you.
The best, man. I was going to ask you about that wall specifically, the collab, the 42 meter. I mean,
Yeah.
how did that come around? How long did it take to paint? How did you get up there?
Well, this was a wall curated by Yasha. So she, at the time, she was the director of Urban Nation. And yeah, she got this wall. Initially, I was supposed to collab with Milo from Italy there.
Okay.
Which I really hope it happens one day, because yeah, I would love to work with them. He's a super nice guy as well. And Ella, also a super nice lady, his wife. But yeah, they couldn't make it because they couldn't arrange their agenda to meet this time frame to work. And then Herakut came up.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. When I was sad, this actually got not better, but I was like, man, I'm gonna paint with my hero, you know. There's nothing that can replace that.
Totally.
So yeah, in that sense, Yasha brought us together. We discussed it like, oh man, I think it was the easiest. Well, the collab with Jay was super easy as well, but this was like super smooth, you know.
Yeah.
We exchanged like 5 emails. We have a concept to paint. I go to the wall, I paint 2 days. It's a massive wall, and in 2 days I'm done, you know.
Wow.
It's crazy. It was like super smooth, very well organized, like no no sparks, no nothing, you know, just flowing. It's good, it's coming out nice, and it's a nice wall.
That's
and,
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You also mentioned Yasha Young and Urban Nation. I visited there last year and saw your installation work. Is that something you're looking to do more of, the installation stuff?
Yeah, definitely. It's for me, it's something I was doing much more before I started painting, was installation work. And yeah, I would love to go back to it, and to sculpture. There's something here I'm working on at the moment.
Definitely.
But yeah, definitely installation is something I really like. It's a more manual process for me. Like painting, it's super manual, but it can be a bit repetitive, you know? Yeah. So with this kind of work, it's more like you don't need to think that much in a way, you know? So it's more
make a lot happen with not a lot of effort as such.
Yeah. And yeah, it's also a nice process. So if I can combine it with painting and with other projects that might come in, it's nice, because if you do every day the same, you'll end up bored, you know, and you don't want to be a bored guy, I think.
Definitely. And with the installation, was that the first time you've used installation art, or had you done something before?
No, I used to just a second, man.
No worries.
My phone, I forgot to take the sound off.
Don't worry, dude.
Legend. No, as I said, like when I was studying arts, I studied arts in university only. Just put you in context. I studied IT
Yeah.
From high school through university. I studied 3.5 years IT to be like a computer engineer. Actually, I quit because it was just too much for my brain, for my character to hold on. And 1 year later, I joined university again to study arts for the first time in my life. And I never painted during my art studies. Only like you have like painting class, you have to paint, but it's like the class that I don't want to go even, you know, like I'm like, no man, bring me on to conceptual art, whatever, you know. Nowadays would be much different though. But yeah, at that time during my 5 years, which was a bachelor and a master's degree, during my 5 year studies, I was working a lot in installation, yeah. And
Yeah.
that's, if I ever had like a glimpse of me as an artist, would be through installation. And definitely not through painting. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And do you think all those worlds that you've been involved in, the photography, the design, do you think it all sort of helps now with your painting?
Definitely, yeah. Definitely. Like the all my work now starts with a camera.
Yes.
I learn how to paint, but I totally suck at drawing. I'm like, man, like if one day I'll post the sketch, the drawing I made for the painting I did with Fanacapan in Miami. And dude, that's like any kid in like fourth grade can draw better than that. You know, it's like crazy.
So
But
sketching didn't play a part for you then. It wasn't a fact of repetition.
no. So nowadays, if I have an idea, I'll just set up a studio. I'll do a photograph session, and then I go to my buddy Photoshop, which I'm quite good with, and I just work out all the imagery, and then I get a reference for the painting. Yeah.
And is that the same for when you're painting a big wall? Do you just take the same size reference for the big wall?
Yeah, it's basically the same.
Yeah.
Like I work the photo on the computer, and then I can paint it on a canvas, on a wall, whatever. Yeah.
And if you're painting a big mural outside, do you sort of grid out first, or is it a projector that you use?
Yes, I used projector before. Well, actually, not for murals. Or did I? I think I did like a couple of murals with projector, but my mural in Ghent, which was one of the first bigger murals, it was already grid out.
Oh, okay.
And Fanacapan plays a big role here because Fanacapan is like true to the bone, you know, like you gotta be real and you gotta be good. And if you use projector, you're a wanker, you know. So it's like, man, I love you, but you gotta quit with the projector, you know. And I'm like, I respect that. And from that moment on, I started using this doodle grid. Yeah.
And that do you find that's just the easiest technique for yourself?
Yeah, well, projector can save you a lot of time, but it can consume a lot of time as well. Because if you get to the wall at, I don't know, 9 in the morning, the sun is shining on the wall, the projector is useless.
Yeah.
So you just better start reading off, and yeah, by midday you have the sketch on the wall and some paint on it. While if you want to use the projector, you have to wait for the night to come, you know. Yeah. So it's a whole day wasted. So in a way, yeah, it's can be more convenient.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it depends on the circumstances that you've got available to you.
Yeah, but nowadays I stick to it because yeah, it's a more pure way to approach it. It's less cheating involved to it.
Nobody can call you a wanker.
Now, of course, I still depend on technology, on the phone, on the camera to take the photo, to put it on Photoshop or whatever, like give it some transparency so I see where the lines go.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's still a long way between what I do now and freehand sketching on the wall. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Talking about your murals, is there a certain one that means more to you than others, like a favorite?
I don't know, not for the piece itself, but this is where I still get like the graffiti, still get a bit of the living that I had with the graffiti scene, with the scene that I live nowadays. It's through this. Like, it's not about the actual piece that you're doing, but it's like the whole moment that you're going through with your friends, with the yeah, the good, the bad things that happen, and this is what makes it special. So for me, there's not a wall that I would say, wow, this is like the wall I love the most. But yeah, I don't know, like maybe my favorite piece, like technically looking at it, it's like the piece from Stavanger in Norway.
Yes. Wow.
But I cannot say for me that that was better than painting in Miami with Fnacapan, like sweating like
Sometimes
crazy.
the
You know? Like,
story as well as the piece.
yeah, that's for me. That's where all the value stands. Yeah.
For sure. And if you found that as you travel around the world, if you found that's really important to artists is to travel and meet other people?
Like any other business, like you must expand your network to grow, because you have to get up in a way, and you have to get known, and you have to know people, so you can open more doors. And traveling traveling, if you don't have any accidents, it's always good, you know, always good. And man, and
I
all
actually heard about an accident you may have had. Was it in Sweden? Was it the first time snowboarding?
yeah, man, that was crazy. I think I'm still suffering from that.
What
Yeah, it
happened,
was
man?
crazy,
What
man.
happened?
Yeah, we went to Sweden to do this exhibition and mural painting for the exhibition, and we got some like couple of days off. And Timon, he is a snowboarder. He knows how to snowboard pretty well. And he was like, "Oh yeah, let's hit the slopes." And I was like, "Yeah, man, let's do it." You know, like I can surf, I can kind of skate, so
Got it.
shouldn't be too different, you know. Oh man, and I was doing good apparently. I still don't remember that much. Like if I go and snowboard again, I need to relearn everything because my memory was totally erased.
Yeah.
But eventually, I think I was doing good, and I got way too confident, and I felt like the yeah, beginner's way, you know, like I was turning one way, put my body to the other one, and like whiplashed with my head on the floor. The snow wasn't so soft.
No, no.
I cracked the helmet,
Oh,
and
no.
yeah, and I had a concussion and like short-term memory loss, which was, man, it was a nightmare to go through. Yeah, it
Oh,
was
man.
really, really crazy.
Have you been back for vengeance? Have you been back?
No, not yet. I really want to, because I'm not the kind of person that would get traumatized and I'll never do it again. So I really want to go and do it again just to overcome it, you know.
Definitely, 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 man, definitely. And taking
But
it back to sort of your studio work as well, man. How long does it take you to sort of paint a piece from like conception to actually finishing the piece totally?
well, it depends. If I already have an idea, like the process of photographing, yeah, putting up on the canvas, prepping the canvas, starting painting, finishing, having it in the tube ready to ship,
Yeah.
it's usually about 10 days.
Okay.
Depends on the size, obviously, but for like 1 meter by 10, 1 meter by 70 centimeters, which is my standard size, it's usually about 10 days. There's paintings I can do like in 3 days, simpler paintings, but the whole process, yeah, it's never less than 5 days, I would say.
Awesome. And when you're putting together like a gallery show or you're part of a group show, do they request certain pieces or is it just you're totally left to your own?
No, I've been so far. I've been able to choose all the pieces I want to show. The only times I have requests for pieces is when I'm doing a commission. But for exhibitions, yeah, I choose whatever I want to show. Yeah, I never had any restrictions, and I hope no one ever comes with that idea to me, because I don't think it will happen then.
No, because the idea is for you to show your own art, so it would be silly to sort of ask for certain pieces, I guess.
chunk of your profits with a gallery. This is my take on it. Like if you're sharing that money with them, which is most of the times 50% of your earnings, yeah, they have to do their job, and their job is to sell whatever you give to them. So if they chose to work with you, it's because they believe in your work and believe in your capabilities. So yeah, and unless you're like out of the blue, you became a crazy dude or whatever, and you just paint shit, you know. But if you're delivering the same quality that you were delivering before, it's their work to, yeah, to make sure they sell it.
Totally. And these big galleries like ThinkSpace and etc., did they get in touch with yourself, or did you reach out to them?
They got in touch with me, yeah, thankfully. Yeah.
And have they just seen your work in the streets and in all the galleries?
I don't know. All my career, it's been well, Instagram had a big effect on my affected a lot my career, and so it all started in a way. It all started with me going to a show of Thermomil in Rotterdam. In this show, I met Peter. Peter is the guy that was putting up the museum in Amsterdam.
Oh, wow.
And I was just talking with him. I didn't know who he was. And he was like, oh, you're an artist as well? And I was like, yeah, this is my work. Like, I wouldn't show it if people wouldn't ask me. But he was like, oh, you're an artist? Show me your work. And I showed him his work. And he was like, oh, man, I like it. Well, I'm Peter. I'm putting up a museum. Would you like to come and do a piece for it? And I was like, wow, man, of course. So I did a piece for him. Then they shared a photo of my work on their Instagram, and Yasha saw it. She approached me and she was like, man, I really like this piece. I'm putting up a museum. Would you like to come and work with me? And it's like my first two big events of my career is two museums, you know?
Joking, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. And yeah, and if you're amongst these people, you get noticed just by being there. It's like, who is this guy who is working with Yasha, you know?
Yeah, totally.
And then they have a better look at it, and they start seeing your consistency, like you're delivering good stuff, and yeah, and you're consistent with what you're doing, and they start believing in you, and they give you a chance.
Definitely. And they can place you on the right projects and with the right people.
Definitely. Yeah. And after Yasha and Urban Nation, I started working with the Graffiti prints with Giancarlo. And I remember the first time I was with him, he was like, man, your work is very good. And it's like no more than 4 years. You'll be working with ThinkSpace, you'll be doing like Scope, you'll be doing powwows. And I was like, man, I hope you're right, you know? Everything that you're saying, I hope you're right. And yeah, 1 year later, I was in Miami, I was doing Scope. 2 years later, I'm working with ThinkSpace, I'm doing powwow. And I was like, man, this guy must be in my life, you know?
Amazing,
So yeah, it's like one thing attracts the other. Basically, it's like if you manage to expand your networks, and yeah, they just, then it's like a snowball, you know?
Yeah.
It just starts growing and growing and growing.
Do you think that's important to have the backing of somebody?
Definitely. It's I think if whenever you have someone backing you up, they're like, yeah, they're saying like, this guy is good, trust him, believe him, give him a chance. And yeah, and if you have the right people doing this, you'll have yeah, you'll grow eventually. You'll grow.
The right doors open for you.
Yeah. And that's like something I'm very grateful for, the way I got all this came into me, that in a way that I never, like, there's artists who got up there and like way bigger artists than me that took a totally different route, and are the type of artists that would go to a person who's like, hi, my name is Nuno, I really like your gallery, I want to work with you, and I'm sure I'm gonna make it work, it's gonna be a success. And they managed to convince the galleries or the projects, the I don't know, man, it's a gift, you know, of talking and convincing people and believing in themselves and making stuff happen. I'm not like this, you know, like I cannot talk to you and it's like, yo, dude, do an interview to me, you know, put me on your YouTube channel. It will be nice and people will see it and it's good for you. But like, I cannot do this because it's just not in me, you know.
You want to be approached. It's better if somebody approaches you. It shows that it's meant to be in a way.
Yeah, definitely. So far, every project that I've been involved with, people came to me and asked me to work with them, to collaborate with them, or if I wanted to be part of their project.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very grateful to have had things delivered to me this way. And yeah, and it's also an honor to have it coming from the people that came, like Yasha, Giancarlo, Andrew from ThinkSpace. It's like, why me? You know,
Yes.
I had a long period that I was constantly asking, like, why me? You know, like every time I check Instagram, I go on the Explorer and I find like hundreds of amazing artists who never, and some of them will never have a chance, you know?
Yeah.
And they're like, some of them like 100 times better than me, you know, conceptually, technically. And for a long period, I was like, why me, you know? Like, and it just got to a moment that I was like, you know what, fucking, you know, it came to you, just take this chance, make the best out of it, try to bring more people to your network, like try to help your friends, artists you like make your own network grow, you know?
Totally. And I think it's like we were saying before, how all your different talents sort of came together to create this sort of amazing masterpieces, all, as if it was meant to be.
I don't know. For me, there's some magic in it, you know? It doesn't happen by chance, but yeah, I cannot prove that. So,
and with your work, with the sort of hardcore imagery you use, with the balaclavas, the bolt croppers, sort of crowbars, is there an intentional contrast there with how delicate the piece actually is? I mean, the actual painting, the floating of the piece.
Yeah, I try to, like, for me, like graffiti in society, like nowadays everybody said like, oh no, I love graffiti, graffiti is amazing. But when they say this, they're actually talking about urban art or street art or whatever, because if someone tags their house, they're gonna be super pissed and they're not gonna appreciate it, you know?
Totally.
So, and that's graffiti and that's something you don't like. But yeah, like graffiti is raw and there's a lot of, I think if you look at it this way, like for me, the honest way to look at graffiti, which is about more than anything, it's about writing your name and tagging and letters and just spreading your name as much as you can. Like there's no rules, no borders for that. And for society, that's quite dirty, that's quite aggressive, that's quite intrusive. And all this is associated with a negativity, you know. It's not something that it's super pleasant, super nice. But for me, graffiti is not just this, but the brotherhood, the experiences, the way you look at the way you live your life, basically.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, tonight we're all gonna get together, and what we're gonna do? We're gonna do this mission. We're gonna paint that wall. It's like 4 guys, whatever. We're gonna paint it this from here till there, and yeah, and you go there, you risk it, like getting arrested, having to pay a fine for what? At the end of the day, for a photo, or the times that you drive by and you look at it, you know.
That's it, man.
And for me, this is like, it's a nice example of dedication without any like financial drive or
Pure. It's pure.
Yeah, man, you just do it because you want to do it, you know, because you really love it. You want to go there, you want to have a good time with your friends, and you want to leave a mark of yeah, the time that you spend together, and that's something that's meaningful for you, you know.
Totally.
And nice example for, even though graffiti is very seen as very negative and dirty, this is a very good example for society, as if a way of dedication, of brotherhood, and how you should live your life without bother all the time about the money and about the rules. No, man, you just do this because you love it. Like, in the end of the day, you're not really like harming anyone, you're not being bad to anyone, you're just, yeah, you're just being annoying to people who don't like it. But if even if people who don't like it, they just ignore it, it won't affect their lives.
Yeah, they've just got nothing better to do. That the people that don't like it mainly.
I don't know, we got to respect them as well. Like, no one is obliged to love graffiti and to enjoy a tag on their wall. I can imagine people can be annoyed by it. If a toy tags my building, I would be pissed because it's not a nice tag even.
Totally.
But if it's a dope tag, maybe I won't mind.
Oh man. And
But if it's a dope tag in my car, I'll be pissed. Because I don't want my car to be tagged. So yeah.
Talking tags, your tag, the Metis tag with the paper planes. Wait, was that just from sketching? I've heard stories you just sketched. You used to fold them up, and that's where it came from.
Yeah, basically it got into the first time I put Metis on a painting. It was like just a sketch and a glove holding the sketch saying Metis. And yeah, when I was working on this sketch, the paper plane came up. I think I had a few sketches laying around and I folded one. And it was one of these things, like the paper plane was laying there for ages. I didn't pay attention. And one day I'm just like eating and I look at it and I was like, man, that's something nice, and there's some meaning in it. And this is maybe even my best piece. This is the piece I can relate to better. And the whole thing starts formulating in your head. And I just go to the drawer, pick up the camera, take a few photos. And I was like, yep, that's it. There's something good here.
And you've just ran with it since.
Yeah. And for me, like, the paper plane is the concept that in a way I relate better with it, and it can work kind of as a self-portrait, because for me it's basically when you have an idea, you write it down. My idea was to paint a piece, a throwy, and whatever you do with this idea, it will dictate your future. And when you write down on a piece of paper what you do with this piece of paper, the actions you take afterwards are very important. And you can like toss it in the bin because you're not willing to spend energy on that project, or you don't believe it, or yeah, and you actually want to do something with it, and you shape your idea and you make it fly. So it's a very meaning. Yeah, it carries a lot of meaning. This concept for me. Yeah.
And now that you've got them on walls all sort of around the world, it's almost as if your planes are flying all around the world.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for me, even though the shirt masks are like the hype subject that I paint and that everybody wants, and a lot of people wants to buy a shirt mask, or they want to own a painting, or like the paper plane is actually for me the one that has like a stronger meaning. Yeah,
definitely.
Sure.
And is that why you used it on the project in Berlin with the trains?
No. No, that was like plan B, actually.
Okay.
Because my plan A was too raw, basically. Yeah. A project together with the Metro of Berlin, so the actually company that runs it. And yeah, they have a big fight ongoing against graffiti. And my option A was too graffiti, and yeah, then we opted for option B, so they wouldn't be so hurt, let's say. Yeah,
there's always got to be a compromise somewhere.
Yeah, well, I'm totally fine with it. Like there's some projects that I work in and that I believe in, and I always think like, okay, there must be a change of plans. I always think when this happens, but if I'm working with Yasha, with Giancarlo or Andrew, if there must be like a sudden plan change, I'll think of it, but I don't overthink it because I really believe in these people. And if there's something to come, like I trust them, and okay, then let's go plan B, you know?
Definitely. That's
I'm
an
not
awesome relationship.
much.
And,
Yeah.
have you got any future projects coming up with Yasha or any of these guys?
I had a lot of future projects coming up. They got either canceled or postponed for this year. I have this chalkboard here that I just need to erase it because it's all gone for this year mainly. But yeah, new projects are coming up already, and yeah, definitely with Yasha, definitely with Graffiti Prince Giancarlo,
Yeah.
and with Think Space, I will have a solo show this year.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And will that just be paintings, or will you involve some installation or maybe some other mediums?
No, that will be only paintings. Now, depending if I will be able to fly to LA or not, there might be more projects associated with it.
Yeah.
But for now, as it is now, it's just a painting show. Well, actually, there might be a piece there, something. Not sure, but I still need to work on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully the gallery will be able to do like a live show, a normal show, and not be forced to do an online show. And ideally, I can fly there already, which I think is gonna be hard to happen until it's October. But I don't know. It's big crazy in the States right now, so
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not sure how is it gonna develop. But ideally, I would fly there and probably paint a mural there. So
Yeah, yeah. And how do you think this will affect festivals and stuff going forward? Do you think sort of shows and big mural festivals will just not go ahead?
well, some of them have been canceled already. Like yeah, you have Upfest Bristol. It's I don't think it's officially canceled yet because they didn't contacted me yet about it. They were still uncertain. But yeah, New Art Aberdeen was supposed to happen end of April. Didn't happen. It is still postponed, but we don't know.
Yeah.
So nice stuff coming up with them though.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for New Art Aberdeen. They're making something still. There's still some stuff happening, and yeah, it's nice. They're maintaining the New Art spirit alive in Aberdeen, which is super cool.
That's awesome, yeah. And it's awesome to see people still doing stuff, still pushing artists. Nobody's slowing down.
It's a big machine nowadays, you know. Like we have to keep moving, and we have to support each other, and yeah, and still make it happen. You know, we can't stop this machine. There's like this scene. It's not just the artists anymore. There's even bloggers, curators, you name it. You know, there's a lot of people behind street art nowadays that if this shuts down, it's a lot of people that won't get paid, you know. So it's I think it's too big to just stop.
Yeah,
basically. And they're coming up with nice ways to show things, you know. Like yesterday I was going through Aches, you know Aches?
No.
He paints letters. Well, he paints.
Oh yeah, Aches Dub.
It's a website, and then I ended up at Stolen Space Gallery, the show that he has now.
Oh yeah.
And it's a virtual show, but it's like this Google View way of seeing the show, you know. And
yeah,
I'm like, okay, this definitely a nice approach for you to do an online show, you know, rather than just be like photos of whatever you have for sale, which it's like eBay sale, you know.
Yeah.
No, it's like you can actually walk around, see it from different perspectives. So
Interact with the art.
yeah, I was quite happy with that solution, you know. So yeah, it's a time that will bring change for sure. Yeah,
Definitely, man. Definitely. Hopefully for the better. I mean, hopefully artists can
yeah,
sort of adapt and like you say, you just come up with a different way of promoting and everybody
definitely,
wins.
definitely. I really hope so. Well, I hope it all goes back to normality. But yeah, eventually some nicer ways of promoting your work or of expanding your network will come up, and yeah, that's good. It's time for trials, you know.
Oh, definitely, man. Definitely, definitely. And I mean, with all that said, I mean, we are looking forward to better times, and we can't sort of wait to see what's coming from yourself in the future. Um, I mean, is there, so there's literally nothing. I mean, because everything's cancelled, there's nothing we can look to. Are you releasing anything online lately, or?
Uh, Early June, that will be a group show with Graffiti Prints. This show was supposed to happen in New York City in August,
Yes.
and this was like the event that I was, I think, yeah, the event that I was looking forward the most to, because this would mean like 1 week in New York with the Graffiti Prince family, you know. And it's like, yeah, spending time with that crew is just, it's always a good time, you know. So I was really, really looking forward for that event, and to have the chance to spend this week all together, all of us just having fun, setting up a show. And yeah, this is not happening anymore.
Yeah.
The show will happen online. It will be early June. I'm not sure about the date, but I think first week of June.
Awesome.
There will be some print releases, some originals. Yeah, that would be still a nice event, but online.
Awesome.
But
Awesome. Awesome. Well, anything we've sort of discussed, I'm going to put links to underneath in the description. So there'll be links to Graffiti Prints, there'll be links to Nuno's Instagram, his website, anything we've discussed. And with all that said, I mean, I can't thank you enough for giving me some time. It's been such a pleasure getting to talk to you and get to know you a bit better.
pleasure is mine, man. Thank you for your time as well.
Oh, mate, anytime. And I'm sure everyone's going to have loved it. To everyone else watching, I mean, we're going to be doing more of these artist talks. So if there's anybody that you'd like to see, make sure to comment below. And don't forget to subscribe and support. So bye.
Cheese.